sjöfartsvänner, för jag hoppas det är fortfarande samma publik. Det ser ut så i alla fall. Ni är mycket punktliga måste jag säga, för de flesta av er var faktiskt här inne 5:03. Det tackar vi alldeles extra för. Vi går nu över till pass nummer 2 som är precis lika spännande och dynamiskt som pass nummer 1. Och vi ska börja här efter kaffet med att hälsa Jacqueline Smith välkommen som är maritim koordinator på Internationella transportarbetarfederationen. Och du kommer att hålla din presentation på engelska, men alla frågor hålls på svenska och sen är Jacqueline norska också. Alltså ni fattar, samarbete. Varsågod.
Ja, tack för det. Før jeg begynner så skal jeg bare si at jeg er i hvert fall en internasjonal person. Og grunnen til det er jo, som du hører, at mitt navn er jo Jacqueline Smith. Og jeg snakker norsk. Min far er norsk, og min mor er fransk-vietnameser. Så de fant ut at de var jo gamle hippier, og fant ut at hvis det var en ting, så skulle, hvis de fikk barn, så var det jenter, så var det min mor som kunne gi navn, og hvis det var gutt, så var det min far. Så jeg har en søster som heter Michelle René, jeg heter Jacqueline, og min bror heter Dag Johannes. Så den holdt den. Jeg ble jo spurt om å holde innlegg, og så tenkte jeg at jeg skulle holde innlegg på engelsk, for at engelsk er jo egentlig det som er skipsfartens språk. Så var det mange som sier, men du kan jo holde det på norsk, for vi skjønner jo hva du sier. Men jeg fant ut at nå er det skrevet på engelsk, så jeg får litt på engelsk, og så får jeg ta litt grann på norsk, eller i hvert fall spørsmålene skal jeg svare på norsk. Så før jeg begynner, så vil jeg bare si, I want to thank Seiko, and I want to thank Blå Tillväxt for inviting me here today to speak on behalf of the International Transport Worker Federation. They actually changed the name of my presentation because I was told originally that it was supposed to be ambition and reality. And now it's myth or reality, which is a little bit different from ambition. But sometimes our ambitions can be our myth. So what I'm going to talk about is social sustainability within the maritime industry on a global level. And before I get into the topic itself, I just want to tell a little bit about what the ITF does. The ITF is a global union federation. We represent all transport modes, so we represent road, rail, civil aviation, tourism, urban transport, fisheries, inland navigation, dockers, and seafarers. And my responsibility within the ITF is all of the 4 maritime sections, so inland navigation, fisheries, dockers, and seafarers. We represent in total around 5 million transport workers globally. About 1 million or so are within the maritime. We have 674 affiliates in 151 countries. So what does the ITF do when it comes to the maritime? I think probably most well-known brand is what we call the ITF's FOC campaign. That stands for Flag of Convenience, or as you would say in Swedish or Norwegian, bekvämlighetsflagg. This campaign started back in 1948, and it started as a political campaign. The goal of the campaign was to eliminate the so-called flag of convenience system, which will allow ship owners to flag their vessel into whatever flag they want without having a genuine link. And why would companies choose other registers than their home register or their register of domain? It's for commercial reasons, a lot of times. It's for tax reasons, it's for the flexibility to employ seafarers from other countries, it's because of the service of the register, it could be because of legislation requirements or lack of. In other words, ship owners choose to flag into a flag, so-called flag of convenience, out of convenience, for whatever reason that is. The second part of the goal of the campaign was industrial, and that was to raise the standards of seafarers working on board those flag and convenience campaigns. Because on those vessels, Liberian flag, Panama flag, Bahamas flag, there was no legislation that was really protecting them and protecting their rights or their wage and working conditions. So we know today, and it's been said earlier, that most of the industries are global. But shipping undoubtedly was the first. And we also know that it's not realistic that we will eliminate the flag convenience system. We know that it's not realistic to be turning shipping back into an industry completely dominated by national owners, national crew, and national working conditions. And we also acknowledge that not all FOC vessels are substandard. And we also know that not all national registers are of standard. But this doesn't mean that the ITF and the family has abandoned our goal when it comes to the FOC campaign. We've just adjusted it slightly. So our focus today in the FOC campaign is the retention of national jobs in national waters and the continuous improvement of seafarers' wage. And one of the reasons why I'm saying we're focusing on national jobs and national waters is because we talk about having a sustainable shipping industry in whatever country, Norway being the country I come from. If you don't have a proper base of seafarers, then you're not going to get that dynamic effect within the cluster. That's just how it is. Because the seafarers communicate with the ship owners, with the ones who are developing the technology, and then they bring that back in. I'm not saying that Filipino seafarers are not quality seafarers, because they are, but it is a different culture and it is a hierarchy system within the Philippines that if a Filipino seafarer is told to paint that wall on the ship, it's wrong. It's the wrong paint, but it's the right color. They will paint it. They will paint it. So our focus is retention of the jobs within national waters, but it's also continuing to improve the conditions on the FOCs in a global aspect. So since my topic has been global in its word, I'm going to focus mainly on the international trade. What is the reality? Today, the ITF has what we call ITF agreements covering around 13,000 vessels in international trade. Now, depending on where you read, they think about 50,000 vessels operate in international trade. Out of those 13,000, around 60 of these are covered by agreements that are negotiated between the ITF and an employer group that's comprising of what we call IMEC, International Maritime Employers Council, and IMAJ, which is International Mariners Association Japan, and also the Korean Shipowner Association. So if you say that we have 13,000 vessels covered by ITF-approved agreements out of 50,000, that only gives us around a quarter that are covered by an agreement. Others, of course, might be covered by a national collective agreement, but the majority of these vessels trading internationally are not covered by a collective agreement, which means that the seafarers are employed on a employment contract, individual employment contract, which can create and will create an unfair competition. So how do we ensure, how do we ensure that seafarers with no collective agreement have improvements? I think one of the biggest things that happened within the shipping industry was when what we call the Seafarers' Bill of Rights, which is the ILO Convention, Maritime Labor Convention, came into force. That's a convention that was adopted in 2006, but came into force 2 years ago. Now, the Maritime Labor Convention, it embodies the hopes and ambitions that every serious player involved in the shipping, and it is the best tool that we have at the moment to ensure seafarers' minimum rights. And I'm saying minimum rights because we see that a lot of them are thinking that that is the norm. It's the minimum rights, which means that from there, you shouldn't go below. We should only aspire to go above. So it came into force on the 20th of August, 2013, and since its entry into force, the ITF, I didn't mention that earlier, we have 150 ITF inspectors worldwide. And they've been reporting MLC-related problems that they've encountered. So in 2014, our inspectors performed 7,588 ship visits globally. And found that 36% of those vessels were found to have some problems. That equals 2,755 vessels. This is a 4% increase, or 371 more vessels compared to the first year of the convention's entry into force. So we did expect that the increase in the flag states to which the convention applies, that the result would have been that it would have dropped of the number of problems that were found on board. But unfortunately, it doesn't seem to be the case. we do try to think of an optimistic way of saying that the increase might be that the mechanism within the MLC, within the convention, provides for seafarers to make it easier for them to make complaints, and therefore the increase in the complaints. But at this moment, we can only speculate, and we are continuing to monitor and will continue to monitor which way it goes. Is the MLC actually doing what we wanted it to do, to be the Seafarers' Bill of Rights, or is it not really providing that protection that we had envisioned it would? Regardless of whatever reason, within the ITF, we say there can be no room for complacency. Some critics claim, of course, that in today's modern global industry, that the distinction between the so-called traditional flags and open registers, which we call flag and convenience, are increasingly meaningless and unhelpful. And it is the fact that the largest flag and convenience registers account for the highest number of vessels with problems regarding wage and working conditions. Now, why this is, of course, could be an interesting discussion. Our opinion is that when it comes to working living conditions, flag state responsibilities are substantially better where there is a genuine link between the employer, the employee, and the flag state. That's just what we've seen. Because having a tripartism allows the industry to better regulate itself. So when we take a look, these are just the numbers that were pulled up to see the changes from year 1 to year 2 of the problems that our inspectors have uncovered. So when we take a closer look at the type of MLC-related problems that were reported to our inspectors, owed wages is the most common, with unpaid wages being on top of the list. The second, of course, is others, which could be subsistence, sick pay, travel reimbursement, or other types of wage-related issues that are not covered under individual subjects. So having looked at all of this, over the last 2 years, our inspectors has collected almost $89 million in back pay for seafarers. I know that that number is a little bit too high because we did a cross-check, so I think it's about 5 million lower than the 89. So it's around 84, 83 million. So we see that within the industry, the ITF and our affiliates play a major role in the enforcement of just minimum standards within the global shipping industry. The second most common breach that was found was the contract. Either it was incorrect paperwork, and repatriation is on top. And you can see the wages and overtime are also listed again. However, this deals with inconsistencies between the seafarer's employment contract and the relevant collective agreement. Because they have a collective bargaining agreement, and then they'll often sign an individual employment contract, and that employment contract is lower than what they should be getting in the collective bargaining agreement. The third most frequent problem was non-compliance of international standards. Now, we find this most alarming is the number of cases where we found that the salaries are below the ILO minimum wage for seafarers, as determined by the ILO Maritime Joint Committee. Now, being here in Sweden, I know that you agree with me that labor is not a commodity. However, it is a fact that labor costs have a direct influence on commercial decisions. So, how do we find a balance between a decent wage and working conditions, a fair distribution of job, and ensuring a level playing field in the maritime industry? That's where we get in between myth, ambition, and reality. In order to find solutions, of course, we believe that there is a need for a proper dialogue, and the flag states have a responsibility along with the employers and employees, which of course is difficult when it comes to flag and convenience registers like Liberia, Panama, Bahamas. So just to summarize, because I'm going to leave some time for questions. I said I'm probably going to have the most, I'm going to have the speech that's going to be the least popular amongst some of them. Regardless if they are so-called traditional registers, open registers, or flag and convenience registers, there is a need for the industry globally to put more emphasis on the softer element of shipping, namely the working conditions on board of the vessels for those seafarers. In our view, the shipping industry's ambition should be to ensure high technical standards on all vessels and that there are internationally acceptable and enforceable conditions for seafarers. And therefore, the same principles that apply to continuous improvement and transparency into performance for the shipping industry should also apply to the performance of flag state administrations. We will continue, along with our affiliates, along with SECO, along with Swedish Officers Union, along with all other affiliates worldwide in 674 affiliates, continue to improve the condition of seafarers. We will continue to try to ensure a fair distribution of jobs for national seafarers, that there's an equal opportunity for them to have a career within the maritime, within their own waters, on their own continental shelf. And hopefully with ship owners and responsible flag states that we'll be able to achieve this ambition. And that's not just a myth, it's a reality. Thank you.
Tack så mycket, Jacqueline. Har vi någon fråga så här direkt? Pia?
Det är bra om man har eget seminarium, då får man fråga så mycket frågor också. Tack så mycket, jätteintressant. Du pratar om att det här är botten och då förstår ju du att vi konkurrerar ju med de som inte ens betalar lön till sin personal. Och när vi ska lägga bud på den frakten så vinner ju inte vi. För vi tänkte ju faktiskt betala lön. Så det är ju förskräckligt naturligtvis. Men det jag ville fråga dig om, det var ju det på andra änden av skalan då, toppen. Där vi tycker att vi befinner oss med bra arbetsmiljö och så. Ni skulle ju, tycker jag, också kunna spela en roll att ranka bra exempel. Och ranka de toppländerna. För det skulle hjälpa oss när vi sen säljer till våra transportköpare. Är en sån lösning möjlig, tror du?
Ja, det är absolut en möjlighet. Och det vi har tänkt att göra nu är att vi har tänkt att faktiskt laga en stor rapport om Maritime Labour Convention. Och utifrån det så ska vi se vilken av länderna är, alltså de goda länderna, och vilken av de länderna som ligger lavest. Och det är något som Seafarers Rights Institute ska göra för oss, och mest sannolikt i samarbete med ICS, International Chamber of Shipping. For det mener vi er veldig viktig å få ut, og så se hvem er det som er på toppen, og hvem er det som er langt nede.
Får jag fråga då?
Ja.
Är Sverige ett bra sjöfartsland?
Ja, det har jo ikke så mange skip igjen da, så hvis du tenker i forhold til... Men jeg syns jo absolutt at Sverige er et bra sjøfartsland. Jeg syns at svenske rederier har vært og er seriøse. Jeg skjønner jo selvfølgelig at de må konkurrere internasjonalt. Det samme er jo med norske. Samme diskusjon hadde vi i Norge. Det som jeg synes at alle land, altså alle kan ikke være bra i alt, selvfølgelig. Så innenfor det som skal være svensk maritim, så synes jeg at det skal bestemme hva er det som er deres spesialitet. Hva er det som er deres nisje. I England så er det jo den finansielle, det er jo det som de har satset på. I Norge var det jo offshore. I Danmark er det jo container. Det er klart at dansk skipsfart er Mærsk. Det er klart at det er jo de som er i all hovedsak de største, og det er jo container som har liksom vært den hovedfokuset. Og da er det jo Sverige å finne hva som skal være deres. Hva er det som, jeg tror nok uten å, altså teknologisk sett så har jo dere alltid ligget langt foran i hvert fall Norge når det gjelder teknologisk utvikling. Ikke det jeg ikke si det til mine norske kollegaer. Men det var i avisen at hadde Eriksson vært norsk, så hadde han vært svensk. Altså den gangen så hadde han vært svensk i dag. Så, for at vi klarer jo ikke å omstille oss i forhold til den teknologiske. Men det klarer jo Sverige veldig bra å gjøre.
Vi ska försöka hålla tiden här lite grann. Är det någon ytterligare fråga? Hoppas jag att du stannar kvar i minglet efteråt också, Jacqueline.
Ja.
Så tackar vi dig så mycket. En applåd. Och så ska jag be inför nästa programpunkt att Carl-Johan Hagman från Stena kommer upp själv. Precis som att du inte skulle klara av det då. Och du kan få precis, du får min plats. Du vill ha min plats alltså. Ja, men då jag ger dig. Nej, jag ska